whether or not he has any sort of evidence towards him where he is looking for kink-based rape interactions with consenting adults, if he has aggressive fantasies, and if he has a controlling or dominant streak in him. And from what you've told me, there's a lot that kind of fits that bill. We're not sensationalizing this story. We're not dragging someone's consensual DM conversations into this. This is merely to prove my theory, which I'll explain after this interview. So, Mia, if you could just take us through if you feel like Decca Heggie falls into this category, and then into that category, I beg your
Oh, massively. Like you've just described him to a T.
Okay. And you had a very short interaction with him before you contacted myself. And also, I would like to say, you and I are friends. Like, this is why
Yeah.
you contacted me. We've known each other a long time. And that's why there was certain parts of this where I said, well, show me the DMs, show me the DMs. What was it that made it hard for you to showcase the DMs and the interactions from Decca?
Okay, so we very briefly spoke on Instagram and it was just quite flirty. There's nothing really there. And then it went to Snapchat and I did try and change the settings so it deletes after 24 hours after viewing. And he changed it back and said it was because when he gets dirty, he doesn't like the messages to stay there.
Okay. Do you think that this is something that he practices all the time? Do you think that he does this frequently with people, or do you think you were an isolated incident?
I don't think you would say what you said to me as an isolated incident. It's not something you just say.
Okay.
At all.
Okay. And when you were talking to him inside Instagram, was there voice messages? Was there written messages? And did he keep them in the DMs or did he delete them?
No, so at the start, like at the very beginning, the messages are still there. It was just text messages really. And then after we had an argument, he then sent me voice notes of him shouting down his phone at me through Instagram. And it played one after the other, and as soon as they both played, they disappeared. So I'm assuming he deleted them.
Okay, so it was like, you've got the message now, away it goes. Do you think that was to prevent you from
showing
anybody that? How long did the conversations go on for, and how quickly before it turned to aggressive or rape or any sort of hard sort of kinks?
I think it was probably day 2.
Day 2 of knowing him?
Yeah.
Okay. That seems fast.
Just a bit.
Okay. Now, do you feel that if the way that you two were conversing and the subject matter that was in play, which was obviously it's quite shocking to some people to hear, but quite a common kink in the reality of things, do you think that those conversations that you had with Decca would have weakened the case against you if hypothetically there had been some sort of assault upon you? Do you feel like the conversations that you had with him would have painted you in a picture that would have weakened your case against
him? Yeah and no, because
okay.
A lot of it I didn't reply to. A lot of it I ignored,
okay.
But there was bits where I did reply, and it was flirty, but I never agreed to any of what he was actually saying.
Okay.
It was very...
Yeah, it was a bit much for you, and you sort of let him voice his thoughts, but very rarely reacted to it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
My main thing is, why is everyone saying a very similar story?
Okay, elaborate a little bit on that. Just talk a little bit more about that.
Okay, so he's like, all the stories that are coming out are rapey, and him being very abusive and obviously not a very nice person, but everyone seems to be saying the same things. Like, I've heard a few different sources online saying how he said he wanted to anally rape them and things like that. And it's certain things which he'd say in conversation, and you think it's little things like that. People are saying the exact same thing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
when I said it, I had no idea about any of this. I just came to you as a friend and was like, "Oh God, guess what happened to me?"
Well, I never knew anything about it. That's the thing as well. Like he'd always gone on about his trolls, but when you came to me with that, I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Do you know what I mean? And that was last month. That was like November at some point. And um,
Yeah.
tell me more about moments where there seemed to be a domination or a, a control element to Decca's relationship with you, just for over these 4 days through the DMs. I know there was a couple of moments where he'd been upset, thinking one thing when you were doing another. Could you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, of course. So, the first time he got controlling was on day one, and that was when he told me I wasn't allowed to watch porn with men in because he didn't want me looking at other men naked,
Okay.
and that was on day one. And what was it you were asking me about?
And can I just this might be a bit of an embarrassing question for you, but like, was your opening
What?
DM to him like, "O Supreme Ruler Decca, I giveth thyself to thee, cometh and runneth my lifeth"? Like, was there any element of "I submit fully, please dominate my life" within the first 24 hours?
No, literally. The first message was, "Don't let the haters get you down. Stay positive."
Okay. Um,
Like, completely polite.
did you ever feel like you were talking to more than one version of the same person?
Yeah, because sometimes he was quite lovely, and then he just turned awful.
Do you think there's a possibility of a correlation between his awful days and his good days to his internet troubles, shall we say?
No,
So,
because
okay, on.
I I don't see how. Like, he'd be telling me how great his day was, and then be being awful like 2 minutes later.
Okay. See, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a mental health expert or anything like that. But that seems relevant in this to me. It seems like almost as if all of this could stem from as simple as a mood swing or a mind change or something not going his way, and there's a snapping involved. And the reason that I say that is if certain allegations are true, then there's a very worrying side to all of this, and it seems to be a, well, I've done X, Y, and Z, so you're going to do A, B, and C, whether you like it or not. And allegedly, that is in the alleged allegations, some of them. And I'm not going to go too much more into that because I don't like discussing things that I can't back up yet. So again, allegations, allegedly. Was there any other incidents during these 4 days where you felt like there was a controlling side to Decca or a mood switch or anything like that? Just kind of take us through key moments of concern when it got to the point where you were going to phone me. Don't do it sensationally, but just take us through the highlights, if you will, excuse the term.
Okay, so we were on a video call on WhatsApp, and I looked away from the camera, And he put the phone down and then messaged me really angrily, accusing me of looking at another guy or a magazine on the floor. And he was just so angry about it. And I was like, I didn't even realise I looked away from the camera. It must have been like a split second, look at something and look back. And he's completely flipped out over it.
His level of narcissistic want to control other people is super prevalent, and this isn't in the kink scene. This isn't in a place where people consent, and this is all appropriate adult theater, shall we say. You're effectively a random girl in his DMs, and this is how he's acting, right?
Exactly.
Did you feel like at any point this was his first rodeo? I think
no.
No.
You don't act like this just out of the blue. This is years of him getting worse and worse and worse. You don't just wake up one day and be that much of an animal.
Yeah.
I do try to appreciate that he does have mental health issues, or he says he does, and like, you know, I'm inclined to believe him because, well, I don't see why he'd make it up, to be honest. But if he does, I do try to give him a bit of leniency with being moody or a bit stroppy or having an off moment. I did try to be understanding to an extent, but there was just no way around it. He was terrible. It was a mix of absolutely everything. It was the way he was, the attitudes, the countless videos and photos, and it was overwhelming.
Elaborate on videos and photos. You don't go super graphic. Just when you say photos and videos, do you mean adult content?
Yeah, adult content.
Was it unsolicited? Did you ask for it, or do you feel like me asking that question is a loaded question? Do you feel like do you feel like it was totally fine that this amount of stuff was being sent, or do you feel like maybe it was over the top?
No, it was over the top. It was every day that we were speaking, I was getting sent at least 2-3 videos and photos.
Okay, and is it were these throughout the day, or did they all come in a big block? Did you feel like was there any consistency to the time of day it happened, or was it sporadic?
No, it was completely all over the place. I mean, I sent one photo, and I think he must have sent 40 like videos as well. It was mostly videos and photos.
So that's 40 videos and photos over 4 days, with, say, an average time of contact of 10 hours. So that's one piece of media every hour throughout those 4 days.
Yeah, but we were pretty much talking constantly.
Okay. And would you say, out of the talking constantly, if you had to draw a circle and make a pie chart, right? And on one side of the pie is amount of time you felt comfortable, and the other half was when you felt like, what the fuck is happening? What would you say the percentage of that feeling was throughout the conversation? Does that make sense?
I'd probably say it was like 60-40 at the start.
Okay.
But by the end of it, I've been in abusive relationships before. I know what to look for, and he was just setting off alarms. So by the end of it, it was pretty much 100-0.
Wow. The warning signs for you, how soon did they start? Did you have like a first day, oh, well, we'll see what happens tomorrow? Or was it a gradual thing before the alarm bells went off?
It was really on day one when I was told I wasn't allowed to look at porn. Because I just thought, what on earth has that got to do with you?
I mean, were you even discussing porn? Or was it just like, how's your day going? Bam.
No, it was quite a flirty conversation, but it was kind of out the blue.
Okay. And again, listen, this isn't a criticism about flirty conversations, consenting adults, adult freaking movies. None of that is what we're passing judgment on here. We're just establishing whether or not there is evidence of aggressive mindsets and kinks surrounding Decca. And like I say, the only reason this is really prevalent is because of some of the allegation stories that I've heard. It's a really bizarre and twisted, dark story, allegedly, the more that I sort of pick away at the beer label on the bottle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The alleged survivors, and I just like to remind everybody again at this point, when I say alleged, I'm not trying to disavow anyone's story. This is just how you legally have to present information until you have the facts in front of you. Anything else that you would like to bring to the table on this subject with regards to the last 4 days? Now, we are going to be doing a follow-up interview, Maya, for the documentary where it'll be a longer interview. We'll go into more detail stuff, just in case it's relevant later on. But is there anything else you'd like to add just now?
I just don't go near him.
Wow.
Just stay away from it. If in doubt, stay away.
If in doubt, stay away. That's good advice. It's really good advice. Yeah. And
I feel like I've had a really lucky escape. I feel like if I hadn't met him, something serious would have happened, and I would have been in a position where I wouldn't have been able to do anything about that because of the conversations that were had and possibly how it may look.
Yeah, that is the point of this video, and you saying that just sort of makes me feel better that I've not gone crazy, if I'm being honest, because the paperwork and the visual references that are being put together for this, it's when you hear about stories, it's one thing. When you see them all laid out in a big graphic, it really hits home how big this is. It's hard enough for rape to be convicted. It's hard enough when there's evidence. But when somebody allegedly is backing it up with conversations that weaken the case. Okay, so I just spilt a cup of tea. So we're back. So let's sort of wind this down. You genuinely believe that you had a narrow escape, whatever that could possibly mean. Let's not go into anything too deep. So do you genuinely feel that what you just said there about stay away, and if you ever in doubt, stay away, you genuinely feel like it's not worth the risk based off of how quickly he showed his colors? Is that why? I mean, what would be your definitive reason to stay away?
Just there's so many red flags and warning signs, and it's from the start.
Yeah.
It's not like you don't get wooed and then get like a punch to the sides of the head.
Yeah.
It's just straight slap in the face.
Yeah. The final thing I'd like to talk about, and this isn't easy, right? But there was a certain area of your anatomy that fascinated Decca, and he kind of fixated on it once he found out that you weren't very experienced with that area. Now, again, I'm sorry, but there is relevance to this. What was the area of your body that Decca seemed to be obsessed about doing things to? And did he ever give you the impression that he wanted to be aggressive or violent towards that area?
Oh, he told me several times he wanted to anally rape me. And it was on more than one day, like different time of the day. It was like quite a common thing for him to say.
When you say a common thing, do you mean
like once he found out? Because obviously it was something I was like, well, not for me type of thing.
Yeah.
And he just went on and on and on about it, like even to the point where he said about a balaclava.
Say that again. He brought what?
Okay, so he used to say that he wanted to come round and break into the house and anally rape me wearing a balaclava.
And did you feel like that was a threat, or that was just somebody talking about their fetishes, waiting for you to respond?
Honestly, felt like, to be honest, I lived so far away from him, I didn't expect him to turn up.
Yeah. Do you think maybe it was like a mix of both, like shock value and, you know?
I feel like if he knew where I lived and I lived close to him, then maybe he would have done it.
Okay. But do you
he would have got a late night knock at the door?
Yeah, do you feel like it would have been, in his eyes, a booty call, but in your eyes, an assault? Like, do you think that there's a difference?
Completely.
Okay.
I don't think there's a difference to him. I don't think he sees a difference. You don't speak the way he spoke. And just, if you know there's a clear difference.
And just to reiterate again, how many days at this point, when you were basically, he was discussing coming with a balaclava and breaking into your house and all this stuff, how many days again into the conversation, and how many days in total had you been talking to him? Just to reiterate.
I think it might have been day 3.
Okay.
And that was out of 4 days.
Okay. And then by the 4th day, you were like, balaclavas and housebreaking, probably just going to save...
Not a good idea.
Yeah. And again, just to reiterate, this was a fixation over that part of your body, and it was a continuous obsession. And did you feel like his texts about what he wanted to do escalated throughout the conversation?
Yeah, completely.
Okay. Interesting. Now, again, just to reiterate, we are discussing about 2 consenting adults who were having sexy conversations that got too much for one party. This isn't anything other than a discussion of that. But looking at everything, you do feel like maybe you had a narrow escape from the possibility of something. And what that something could have been, we could, make assumptions on all day. The important thing is you are safe. The important thing is you didn't get to that point where you thought, hey, I'm going to go and meet up with this person. And you did the right thing by just walking away. And I know that since we started our investigation through our little group, you have reinitiated contact, and I think...
And he's actually been really pleasant.
Do you think that his pleasantness has anything to do with his fears of what's happening online just now, or do you think that there's another reason for that?
No, I completely think it's because he feels like he's being watched.
Yeah.
Which he is. Everyone seems to be jumping on the bandwagon. So people are watching at the moment.
Yeah. Well, listen, Maya, thank you very, very much for coming and talking to us. I know for anybody, it can be embarrassing, especially when we're talking about sex, and when it's kink-based sex, it can be embarrassing. So I just want to say thank you for coming and doing this, because I think, like I said earlier, it's hard enough for women to prove rape. It's hard enough for women to come forward, especially when it's in a kink scenario where people can further judge and form opinions on them. So I think you're a testament to anyone who has red flags about people or anything like that to come here and help us with this investigation. So I really do appreciate it. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.